How's it going, everyone? It's September 25th, 2023. It's my birthday, and couldn't be a better day to take this video. I'm going to show you my top 5, maybe 6 apples that I grow in my orchard, where I got probably a couple hundred varieties. This is going to be from all the apples that have fruited so far. Now, I haven't fruited all my varieties yet, but from all the ones that I have tasted so far, I'll number the first 2, and the rest will be a little bit more arbitrary, but they will be on my top list. A lot of people have been waiting for this video, so this is it, guys. This is the video that you guys were waiting to see. I'm gonna give you my top 5 or 6. This apple here is called, I'm about to give you the name, but before I give you the name, I want to make sure everybody take a quick second and hit the like button. Smash the like button, and then I will proceed. All right, I'm just waiting. I'm not gonna keep going until you hit that like button. Might as well do it. I see you down there. Hit that like button. Hit that like. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. That really helps my channel. This apple is called Rebella. In a previous video I was taking, I stated in my video that it was Wynooch early. I corrected the title, however, in my video when I'm speaking on it, I still refer to it as Wynooch. This was, 2 labels have swapped in my orchard. This is actually Rebella. So I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this apple is number 2. Number 2 on my list. Which one's number 1? Number 1 is Gold Rush. It's October 26th, 2022, and this apple is called Gold Rush. This is my favorite apple so far for many reasons. One, it's disease resistance. The tree and apple does not suffer any major diseases. I don't spray at all here. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Notice how loaded it gets. I've even had to add supports to make sure the branch doesn't break. Even the bugs don't attack this one a lot. So one of the other reasons why I like this one so much is taste. Wow. You hear that crunch? It's like one of the crispiest apples I have. A nice crunch to it. A very nice floral notes to this. It's a perfect balance of sweetness and acidity, and it packs like a spicy punch to it. I don't know how else to describe it. It has like a spicy, it's pretty dense in flavors. It's a little bit of a bug damage there, but if I set out traps, I think this apple will be even better. But it hangs on the tree. It hangs and it does not fall off. Does not fall off at all, so you have to harvest it before the frost, or it'll just continue hanging on the tree forever. But it stays crispy and it stays ripe on the tree, so it keeps well on the tree. So the longer you can hold it off until frost is best. So I'm probably gonna harvest some of them now and see how many I can leave on until later. But this is the perfect snacking apple. When I walk by, I just grab it. It's very sweet right now. Very crisp. And normally I'm not a big fan of yellow apples. Like Golden Delicious is all right. It's pretty good, but I wasn't really a big fan. I like the ones that packed like a punch to them, had like more intense flavors, were a little more complex. And this is one of those. It has a good amount of complexity to it. Very rich flavor. Kind of spicy in a way. Floral notes to it. Perfect balance, sweetness and acidity. And, you know, it keeps well. So with the disease resistance and the keepability and just the taste and texture, everything combined, I think overall this apple scores the highest on my rankings. You know, I'd probably give this apple a 10. This is basically like how I would compare other apples. This is going to be like my new comparison apple probably, because so far I have not found an apple in the Pacific Northwest that you can have and have it taste this good off the tree with no sprays, with no maintenance whatsoever. I mean, I do a little bit of pruning, but basically, you know, this is it. You know, if you're looking for one apple tree to plant in your yard, you only have space for one more tree, this would be it. Plant the Gold Rush. So that's all I have to say. I'm breeding with this variety. I'm gonna try to, you know, get this trait off into, you know, other apples, crossing it with Wine Crisp, crossing it with Rebella, Crimson Crisp. I really want, you know, this trait here, you know, long hanging ability, long keeping ability, and just taste and texture and everything combined. So this is my top apple currently. Thank you guys for watching. I will be selling some of these trees in the winter. You can contact me in January on Facebook Messenger. This is number 2. Why is it number 2? I will let you know right now. Look how pretty those are. Aren't these good looking apples? Let's see if I can take this one. That one came right off. They are perfectly ripe. This time of year, his branch is like loaded with fruit. I wish I had more. I wish I had grafted more of this 4 or 5 years ago when I was grafting over this tree. But hey, you don't know what you don't know until you try it. Now, why do I like this apple so much? Let's find out. Flavor is just phenomenal. Hard to explain. It's really sweet. It has an acidic balance to it. Not a lot of acidity, but a good balance. For some reason, this one, however, isn't as crispy as I remember them. Let me get a different one. Let's try this one. Okay, that's where it's got to be. So my guess is they are beginning to over-ripen a little bit by September 25th. We probably want to get them all by September 20th, maybe 15th. But look how pretty they are. They get no bug damage. So some apples, bugs are either just not attracted to them, or they have the ability to produce some sort of coating or powder on their skin that repels the bugs, because nothing in my orchard is sprayed. Some apples are wormy, some are not. This is one of them. There is absolutely no damage on these apples. Well, I can't say absolutely none. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd find like 1-2% where something has bit into it, but for the most part, these apples don't get bothered by any disease. That's why they named it Rebella. It has multiple resistances to all kinds of diseases, all kinds of fungus issues. These apples just look good, taste good. I mentioned before in the old video that this would be like a good substitute for the Honey Crisp or the Jana Gold. Let's compare. This is Rebella. I'm gonna pull out of my pocket the Honey Crisp that I bit into earlier. Let me pick a nicer one then. All right, here's a nicer Honey Crisp for the 2023 season. Oh yeah, classic Honey Crisp flavor. By the way, I didn't spray these either. This is an ideal Honey Crisp. Let's see how it compares, stacks up to the flavor of this one. Honey Crisp is a little bit crispier, a little bit crunchier. It's hard to beat the crunchiness of the Honey Crisp, I'll tell you that much. It just has the really large cells, the breaky flesh. However, in my opinion, Honey Crisp lacks a touch of acidity. It's just not enough acidic balance to the Honey Crisp, in my opinion. A lot of people love it though. The other downside to Honey Crisp is it gets bitter pit. It gets issues, it gets bug issues. I don't spray it. Some of mine look okay. If you treat your soil well and you have all the micronutrients available, your Honey Crisp will actually won't be bothered by as many diseases than if your soil is lacking anything or if the tree's unhealthy. A healthy soil will promote healthy apples with less disease and less spray. So that's just a tip. But comparing it with the Rebella, notice the color difference too. Rebella is a little bit, has like a pinkish hue to it, like a pinkish hue. Honey Crisp is just more red and yellow. But Rebella, the flavor is just so good. It's also crispy and it's easy to bite into. The flesh doesn't break away as easy as Honey Crisp, but flavor intensity, it has the spiciness notes, it has good complexity. It's not a very light apple on the flavor. It's quite intense actually. One of the more intense flavored apples. A dwarf tree like this already has an apple. Actually had 2 apples. Pull that off. Look how beautiful it is. No blemishes. Has like this pinkish hue, almost like a peach color to it. This is Rebella. Oh yeah. Forgot to mention, it also has kind of like some floral notes to it. Very interesting flavors. Almost reminds me a little bit of Pink Lady, but Pink Lady is quite different than this. Just kind of reminds me of those notes a little bit. That's Rebella. I will have some treats for sale. You guys can contact me in December and January. They will probably be selling for between $30 and $40. This is the Liberty. Graft here. I'm gonna take an apple from here. Pick a nice one. That's interesting. Some of them turn out to be elongated like this. They're not all like that. All right, let's taste this one. Very crispy, sweet, with a little bit of a acid to balance it out. This is actually right about ripe right now, September 25th. Really good apple. Can't complain about Liberty. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is just really good. You know, good balance, good apple flavor. There's not like a lot of spiciness or very complex flavors. Very pleasant though. Sprightly, easy to eat. Good overall apple. Highly, highly recommend. What a nice variety. And look how flexible these branches are. I did not thin, and yet it didn't snap the branches off. So very productive variety, but also different varieties have different wood, and some of the wood just snaps and some of it stretches and bends and does not break. So this is a huge plus for apple trees, because your branches won't snap off even if you have a crazy load like this. Look at that. And look at this. You see how many apples are on this one branch that connects to the tree right there. You see that? That is intense. That is intense. Some of these branches are... So that's how much apples I picked off of this tree. This is roughly 40 pounds, I think. Full box. Tree ain't that big. This is only a 5-year-old tree. It was grafted in 2020 on a 2-year-old seedling. Planted out in 2021. It's 2023, so 2 years after planting out, it produced this heavy crop with the branches that were weighed all the way down and are now picked. That's how many apples you get. So 5 years without dwarfing rootstock. This is full-size seedling rootstock. 5 years and you get this many apples off of one tree. Close to and very similar to the Liberty is the Spartan apples. One of my favorites, definitely at the top of my list. Spartan apples. They don't hang on the best. These are my dad's concrete fence posts. They don't hang on really well. They'll eventually start dropping. Even some of them will drop before they're fully ripe. I did some of my pollinating here. There isn't an apple in there, but this apple I will harvest because this was pollinated by Snowsweet. And I think that would be a really good cross, Spartan crossed with Snowsweet. How does Spartan compare with Liberty since they're so similar? Spartan ripens about a week after Liberty, in my opinion, even though you can both eat them at the same time. Spartan on the same date as Liberty is not fully ripe. however, is completely edible. It has most of its flavors, however, it's lacking some of its aromatic tones before it's fully ripe. So I would say wait about a week and a half on this one, sometimes even 2 weeks. And this apple will really gain some aromatics. Very sweet, less acidity than Liberty. Also very crispy, very crunchy. That crispiness will slowly go away over time if you want to store it, but they will keep until Christmas time-ish. This is Spartan. Highly recommend this apple. White flesh apple. Very crispy, very light in terms of like flesh density. Not too dense, easy to eat. And this is one that's, I would say, like one of those universal apples, similar to Honey Crisp, where a very broad range of people will like them. People that like acidic apples, people that like sweet apples. This is kind of like one of those apples that hits every mark from people on both sides who like sour apples and sweet apples. This is one of those, similar to Honey Crisp, where just everyone likes them. So a good bet if you have people in your family who like sour apples, some people in your family like sweet apples. This is a good bet. Spartan will hit every mark and everybody will love them. That's Spartan for you. This is Enterprise. Now, I'm gonna put this in one of my top 5 because it's very disease resistant. It keeps very well in the fridge. It's not quite ripe yet, so I don't want to remove any of the good ones, but I can't remove a damaged one just to taste it. It's a small one. It's not fully ripe yet, but it has become one of my favorite apples to eat with peanut butter. It's just really good with peanut butter. I don't know what it is about it. Like this other one over here, this is Wine Crisp. This has a more intense flavor. Probably also gonna make it on the list to the top 5, but it's just not ripe yet. And another issue that it gets is just because it's so aromatic, I think bugs love it. Like a lot of the apples just have bug damage, and I've tried so many things to kind of eliminate the bug problem. I've hung up bottles of molasses to try to trap some of the flies. I hung up sticky cards with like sticky red glue, tanglefoot. I added like red dye, like powder type of dye into the tanglefoot, and I painted it on. It's kind of washed down a little bit to kind of create the red and the yellow background to attract the maggot flies. And I did catch quite a bit of them. Some of the apples are good, and some of the apples just have all kinds of bug damage. Kind of sucks. I just can't seem to get the Wine Crisp to ripen up without getting any bug damage. It's such a good apple. Such a good apple. Now, the reason why this one is ranked slightly above Crimson Crisp in my books is because, you know, with Crimson Crisp, the issue seems to lie within like the genetics, whereas with Wine Crisp it's just that the bugs are attacking you. Otherwise, it's a really good apple. So I think there's actually some pretty good ones up there. Fully ripe yet, but also a very good keeper. Very sweet, complex apple flavor. Not fully ripe yet, but already very good. This is probably going to make it into the top 5. It's just so good. You just have to figure out how to minimize this bug problem. I know that I can't make a video with top 5 apples without at least, showing and talking about the black strawberry. A lot of people have wanted this variety. A lot of people are dreaming about growing this variety. And I've sold a lot of wood to people. This is only the second time that it's fruiting for me. First year I only had 1 apple. They're not quite ripe yet. Not quite ripe. I want to at least try to pick one without harming the rest, just to taste it at this stage. Hopefully I can pick it without messing with that cluster. Wow, that's a lot of spins. Oh, finally came off. And the trains just don't stop today. All day long. Black strawberry. Doesn't have the color yet. So this is just a little bonus footage. This is the Crimson Crisp. As much as I want to include Crimson Crisp in my top apples to grow, I've been watching it for the past 3 seasons now. I really love the flavor. It's a phenomenal apple, but under the same conditions as all the other ones, this one gets a lot more bitter pit. See all those dark spots, which basically makes the apple unstorable. The flavor, however, is off the charts. It's crispy. It's tasty. You can add calcium to minimize this problem, but when all my other apples are doing perfectly fine with no calcium, why would I be babying one tree just because it's got an issue that other apples don't have? For that reason, I always encourage people to search for the genetics that work for you. Don't work too hard for your apples, because there is a lot of diversity, and apple DNA can do the majority of the work for you. Just choosing the correct cultivars for your region, for your climate. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I will continue growing this apple and testing it. Maybe I'll add calcium one year and see if that alleviates the problem of the bitter pit. But for now, this apple does not make the list. So some people are gonna say, how come Golden Russet didn't make the list? Golden Russet drops a lot of its fruit. Also, Golden Russet really gets hammered by bugs. Almost every apple, just because it's so aromatic, I guess. Here's one that's not. Actually, it still is. It's hard to find one that's not damaged. They're really good apples. Very rich. However, the texture is not really good. It's a little bit soft and rubbery, but when it's fully ripe, the flavor is just phenomenal. One of the best for flavor itself. But yeah, that's Golden Russet. Almost every apple has a wormhole in it. So yeah, if you can control the bugs. Otherwise, this apple is pretty good. It's just a little too much bug damage for me, and I don't like the fact that it doesn't want to hang. That one's actually really good. Really sweet, spicy, golden russet flavor. One of the best for flavor. And I think these are supposed to keep for a while too, if they didn't have the bug damage. Phenomenal apple. Golden russet. If you can keep the bugs off him. I tried hanging bottles of molasses and yellow sticky cards and didn't help. Maybe I'll try pheromone traps next year. I don't know. That's golden russet. So this is what Jana Gold should look like. Now this is also one of my top apples. It's not fully ripe yet. It does get some bug damage every once in a while. But Jana Gold is such a good flavor. And crispy. Yeah, that's a really good apple. Yeah, I don't know, it was hard to make this list, guys, but Jana Gold's up there. Close behind, if not in the top 5. My list is gonna end up being like the top 3 and then like 15 apples tied for 4th and 5th place. It's hard to make the decisions, but Jana Gold is a must too, guys.
Please subscribe, please subscribe.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe.